Okay, so here's a quick tutorial on the steps that I'd like you to use when you're practicing breathing and also when you're breathing for playing. This takes some practice to get to be able to do it automatically and consistently. However, that's why we practice it before we play, so that hopefully by, repetition and trial and error, we get so that we can do it by default all the time. So the first and the most important thing related to breathing is that we want it to be easy. We don't want to use more muscle and force than we need to, but we also want it to be something where we have kind of like enough air that we're set up to play with, kind of like some stored energy. So I like to think about a balloon. I've probably already talked about that if you're watching this video, but thinking about when you expand a balloon, at this point I'm holding the balloon closed. If I release what I'm holding here in the balloon, the air comes out. I don't have to push the air out. The elasticity of the balloon is enough to push the air out, and we want to create a similar effect with our lungs. Just releasing this. So, for trumpet playing purposes, our model breath is what my old teachers like to call the superhero breath or superhero posture, which is that we take a comfortably full breath where the chest right here comes up and stays up. As though, we were Superman or Batman or a really well-trained opera singer. So something like this. Okay, so right now you can probably hear there's a bit of extra like resonance and energy in my voice, and this is something that we want for the trumpet as well. I can currently feel that my stomach, you can't really see, but like around here, my stomach has come in a little bit so that I'm able to talk because I'm keeping my chest up as opposed to letting the chest collapse inwards. And you hear what just happened with my voice. Suddenly it got a whole lot less sort of rich and colorful. So when we play the trumpet, we expand in the rib cage, we keep the chest up, and we release the air outwards. So what I mean by releasing is like with the balloon, when you expand and then you let the air out, it goes, and we kind of want to do the same thing. So we don't always realize we want to, but we do want to. So when you take this comfortably full breath, so you can see my hand will move outwards a little bit, which shows you how full I'm getting. Right now, I have to work to hold the air in. What I actually want to do is this. Right? And you can see my hand did come down a little bit. That's the part that we want to avoid, that second part. So anytime we're breathing, we're aiming to expand this way, keep the chest position up in the way that is consistent with like good public speaking, a rich commanding voice, and for the next layer of detail, making this more like the way it is in the trumpet, where all the air has to go through a little tiny hole. There we go. Sorry, this is a funny angle. That big. You can see this is super small. It's like 3 millimeters, the size of that opening. Kind of roughly the same as the size of this straw. The idea people have that you take a big breath and release a ton of air through the trumpet is not right. It's not. All the air has to go through a hole that big. And you have to be able to stay relaxed while you do it. So the practice technique that we want to do here is to be able to take that same kind of breath, release the air the way we practiced, where you're not pushing, you're just letting the elasticity do the work for you, and then you're directing it out through the straw. So something like this. Okay, that's about the point where I'm reaching neutral. And when I held my hand out in front of the straw, I could feel air on my hand. So we'll build on this in future, but for the moment, that's kind of a good model for what I'd like you to do when you practice breathing. Don't do this for a long time. Do this maybe 5 or 6 times before you start to play. We're trying to make this a habit that you can recall automatically, even if you're distracted thinking about something else like what you're about to do when you try to play the trumpet. So I'll show you a couple more times from a couple angles to try to make this obvious. So, same thing one more time. Okay, and like this. one more time. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to send me an email.